Hi everyone and welcome back to WARNO, and we finally have Murat and the patch notes, and that's what we're going to go through here. I will be doing a testing video later, but we'll get round to that and it'll probably go up tomorrow, and it'll be a test of all the new units and some of the old ones and some of the changes, etc, etc. So stay tuned for that. However, right now let's just have a look at the news and the patch notes. It's going to be a reasonably quick video. We'll have a quick look at the units in the game, but nothing too exciting right now, and we will be doing deck building videos and revisiting some old decks for any changes. But first, big surprise that came with Murat today is modding. We do now have access to some modding. So the idea will be that eventually you'll be able to freely modify or add units, weapons, ammunitions, divisions and more. You can also change gameplay settings such as damage system, the rate at which you earn money, and the behavior of AI. And those with artistic flair can also modify the style of the interface, its colors or positioning, so expect to see a Wargamer Red Dragon interface sooner rather than later. What they do note further down in the patch notes is that right now you can only modify the NDF data. Asset modding such as models, textures and sounds will come at a later date, but all the information is in the mods folder within the WARNO installation area, and I'll also put a link that they linked in their news article below. Now, just regarding the patch notes, let's quickly whiz through them. So obviously we've got the two new divisions, the 2nd Panzergrenadiers and the 4th Motorsuchen division. There are now paratroop units, so all para units, currently the German units, which are identified by the prefix FS in their name, have access to forward deployment the same as the recon units. This is something new. I think they're trialing it rather than saying it's definitely staying in, but basically you can forward deploy some units, which is going to make some German sides obviously very strong. You know, even the Milan is available for forward deployment, so keep that in mind. Now you also have the new BTR-60 proper models, which have replaced the placeholders. There are also new visual sound feedbacks when a sector is captured or lost, so just to make it a bit more obvious, I'm assuming. I've not seen it yet. Improving the ruins mechanics, so they fixed a bug which made units inside invisible. I've mentioned that in a few of my replays and things, that units inside a destroyed building just cannot be seen by the enemy. They've now fixed that. They've added a new line of sight system and allowing the units to hide in the ruins, though not completely blocking the line of sight to units outside. Players will no longer be able to act after surrendering. I didn't even know they could, so that's new. Added some sounds while creating a deck. Fair enough. AI now correctly land supply choppers and supply other units. AI will also focus less on the forests on death row. Great. When using right-click, units will now use their own rules of engagement to interpret the order instead of previously using the first unit selected rules of engagement. Moving on to some bug fixes. Fixed some hints which weren't explicit enough, fixed the TO-55's main gun which wouldn't fire on infantry, fixed the Lars 2 rocket damages which were too high, fixed a visual bug in the command zone influence feedback when you start to capture from within an enemy zone, aka landing a command chopper in the middle of an enemy zone, fixed the flares not disappearing after aircraft evacuated, that I've seen a lot of times, fixed the line of sight tool not matching the shoot on position cursor information for ground units. We still need to fix some issues for helicopters. Okay. Fixed vehicles not always stopping or landing when they are out of fuel. Yes, that's been in for ages. I remember spotting that in the very first tournament we had in this game. Generic changes. Added anti-tank teams, the ATGM or RCL divisions. Sorry, to all divisions. Overall pass on infantry weapons. See the previous dev blog. Obviously there's been a few changes there. Overall pass on SPAG, which is your self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, to make efficiency more in line with in real life caliber and firepower, again noted in the previous dev blog video. Increased the tank destroyer vehicle stealth, decreased all close air support, HE, napalm, cluster and rocket planes coming in at 4 per card to 3 per card, and restricted all CAS, HE, napalm and cluster and rocket planes to 1 card only per deck. Decreased the fastest plane speed by 20%, increased SPAG rounds travel speed by 15% to reduce cases of them hitting the target past their max range. Added critical hits on helicopters, added SMG 1 second aiming time, bombers drop bombs closer to their targets. NATO reduced the Unimog's optics on par with other unarmed transports, forgotten in the previous patch. Reduced the M163 Pivad's anti-plane range from 2,800 to 2,650. Increased the Gepard's anti-helicopter range from 2,475 to 2,825, and anti-plane range from 2,825 to 3,005 meters. They do pick some strange ranges for these calculations. Increased the Fuchs price from 20 to 25, increased the Fuchs Milan's price from 25 to 30, decreased the M113A1G's price from 25 to 20, added smoke launcher Armada IFVs, great, decreased the M113A3 Dragon's price from 35 to 30, 8 Infantry Division, added Gunner's Squad, and packed integrated proper BTR-60 all variants models. Removed the Sapri RPO's access to the UAZ transport as an option, replaced with the GAZ-66. Reduced the ZSU-23-4's anti-helicopter range from 2,825 to 2,475. Decreased Tunguska's anti-helicopter range from 2,825 to 2,650. And anti-plane one from 3,005 to 2,825. Increased the Tunguska's gun stabilizers from 5 to 35%, however. Decreased the BM-27 Uragan's price from 270 to 250. Decreased the BDRM-2's optics from very good to good. Decreased the Special Auf Klara's price from 90 to 75. Increased the FS Einsatzgruppe's price from 65 to 70 to match the fact that they can now be forward placed. Increased the FLA RAC Strela 2M's price from 20 to 25. Decreased the FS Jaeger Metis's price from 65 to 60. Decreased Pioneer Flam's price from 75 to 65. Increased Motorschützen price from 45 to 55. Increased the Panzerjäger's price from 40 to 55. Increased the Motsuchin's BTR price from 50 to 55. 39th Infantry added the Pummelmechki Squad. 79th Tank Division added the Pummelmechki Squad. And the 7th Panzers increased the 2S1's number of cards from 1 to 3. Okay, so a lot of changes there, in fact. That went on for longer than I expected. So let's have a look at some of the new units. I might miss one or two, but I'll try and click on them all and just have a quick look. I won't go through all the changes that they made in this patch, looking at the units and stuff. I'll leave a lot of that for the testing video that we will do. But let's just have a quick run through. So I'm just going to look at what appears in the list. I'll tell you what we'll do. We will look at the Soviet side first, or the Pact side, and then we'll look at NATO separately, and it'll just simplify things a little bit. So one of the things to mention straight away are FS Jaeger and the FS Jaeger Metis and the FS Jaeger Für. Now all the FS units can be forward placed, much like the recon teams can. That's a little bit concerning. I'm not sure if the commander can, but I assume they can be, which means that they can cap points really quickly at the start of a game. So the German factions who have FS troops like this are going to have a major advantage, especially things like the Metis. I mean, that's an 8-man squad with a Metis launcher. Otherwise, looking at the other units, I wish there was a button where I could click just units added by Murat, but we'll just go through and pick out the others as we see them. So in terms of other units, obviously we've had more infantry added. I'm just looking for more. There's some FS units, but they are part of recon anyway. The Biryusa ranges have been changed, and Tunguska ranges have been changed as well. Obviously, big new unit, the Smerch. That's available to the 4th Mutsusuchen Division. Really good unit in Wargame Red Dragon. It carries cluster munitions for anti-vehicle, so it's got 9 penetration there. But yeah, this thing was devastating in Wargame Red Dragon. As long as you got your shots right, your targeting right, then it was pretty damn good. Other than that, usual BMPs and things. Here we go. So you also get the new ATGM units, the Faggot and the Conkers. Very similar units. They have slightly different models, which is nice. They have changed the model of the actual launcher for each different one. Down here you can see that the East Germans get an FS1, so they can forward deploy this the same as the recon units, which is slightly crazy. I mean, I know it's only 16 penetration, but that's still a pretty good unit. And obviously you've got the Conkers as well. Decent range, penetration 20, a little bit less than the Milans. You also get the FS SPG-9. That's also FS, so that can also be put in a forward position. Penetration 14. Rate of fire is pretty good, 10. Pretty standardized, I suppose, in the sense of most ATGMs fire that fast. Conkers rate of fire 12, and the Faggot is rate of fire 12 as well. These look new. I don't remember these guys, but they're going to the 7th and the 4th. These are the Motorschützen SMGs. Not sure about those. I'll have to have a look at them in the deck, but they do have 3 PKMs, which is pretty strong. Maybe they were already in, I'm not sure. They look new. What else have we got? Oh, there's a new chopper to show everyone. There it is. The Mi-8MT GUV. This thing has gun pods. 4 gun pods there. Zoom in on it. And each of these gun pods has 3 guns, but they're mini guns. So 1, 2, 3. You can just see the little ones at the side there. And they fire 12.7 and 7.62mm rounds. So the main gun in the middle, I assume, is the 12.7 and 7.2mm on the side there. That is an immense amount of damage that's going to put out. Pretty sure Protozocco was using those in one of his videos over the weekend when he was streaming and stuff. But yeah, that is a beastly helicopter. Unique to the 4th Motorschützen Division. Other than that, not a huge amount of exciting stuff in terms of aircraft. Obviously there is the rebalancing of the aircraft and the reduction in availability. But you're just getting the usual various loadouts and things there. Otherwise, I think in terms of what else is available, you've got a change in stealth for all of these units, so the ATGM units. So Conkers and anything else, the ATGM carrier vehicles now have a stealth of mediocre to make them a little bit more viable. Birusa and Shilka obviously have had their ranges adjusted as per the patch notes and the previous dev blog. Let's switch over to the NATO side and have a quick look through. As I say, I probably have missed some units here, and I'll go into them in a lot more detail when it comes to actually, you know, making a testing video and we look at the units properly. But just a quick look, the Sultan obviously there, the command vehicle, which is Belgian here, but let's be honest, this is all British gear as well. The Brits use most of the gear that's been added for the Belgians. Other than that, you have the FS Jaeger, so you can forward place the FS Jaeger. I assume that applies to the command as well. So again, the Germans are going to be really strong because of their ability to forward place these units at the start of a match. I mean, they're going to reach points before anyone else can with huge amounts of units potentially. Not convinced about this forward placement stuff. We'll have to see how it goes, but I'm a little bit worried that it's like detracting from the fact, you know, most of the units are supposed to spawn in the base and get to the front. If you give one side the ability to put everything they can forward, even if it's just squads of infantry and anti-tank stuff, then it gives them a massive advantage in 1v1s in particular. So I'm not sure about that, because as we know in this game, defending is easier than attacking. Other than that, nothing too exciting at the top there. Obviously I use Panzer Grenadiers and everything we already had. Here we go, Scorpion. Recon unit. Really nice little vehicle. 10 penetration. Mediocre stealth, good optics. And obviously the Scimitar. Again, good optics, mediocre stealth. But it has a nice 25mm autocannon on there. Moving on from there, you do get the Eclairs, which have a Uzi and a Law. Small squad, good for getting behind enemy lines. They are recon. The Spartan as well, another Belgian unit. just for transport. And the Striker with swing fire missiles. These are ATGM missiles, anti-ground. 23 penetration, pretty good. Accuracy, not great. Before we get on to the jets, Milans. We've got Milan 2 team and a Milan 1 team. Their model is identical at the moment, but you obviously have the FS PALR Milan 2 with the new 2nd Panzergrenadier Division, and those guys can be forward placed, just like the Recon. So, you know, that is a heck of a penetration ATGM to get right on the front line straight away. I would not want to be playing as a packed tank deck coming up against those guys. Other than that, obviously Jeopard's been changed across the board in terms of its ranges. The Gunners have been added. This is a new team which have been added to the 8th Infantry. And it's literally a Gunner squad. So it's the M60 ×3 squad. Obviously for fire support due to the changes they have made with infantry weapons. You've got the Harrier. The lovely Harrier jump jet. Look at that, isn't that magnificent? That is a very sexy plane though. I will appreciate any of the British gear that is put in. Very nice. Not particularly nice armament, but a very nice plane. We also get the TOW and the TOW 2 ATGM teams. Again, very high damage, especially on the TOW 2. Good range, really good accuracy. We also have the Jaguar, obviously, which is now stealth mediocre. And that is mostly everything we got in terms of new units, I think, other than the new British Tornadoes from the RAF. You have this one with the Sky Flash, semi-active radar missiles with a 7,000 meter range, and the Tornado GR1 seed plane. It's very nice. Now there's one squad I completely forgot to show us. They are... Ooh, there we go. So there is a squad here, which is forward placeable, I believe. And they are a German squad, but they have American gear. There they are. The FS Sprengtaucher squad. These guys are basically an infiltration squad. They're recon in this game, but they carry American weapons because they would infiltrate the enemy ranks and sabotage them behind the lines. So obviously would be placed further forward with the recon teams. So I guess that kind of makes sense for them. And they have demolition charges. But a few people are being confused by that, but it is deliberate. They are an infiltration squad. So that's a quick look at some of the new units and a few of the changes. As I say, testing video will be up and coming, so please stay tuned on the channel for that. It'll probably be tomorrow or the next day that'll go up, and we'll test as many of the new units as we can, and changes are made to the old units as well. But thanks very much for watching. Please, as always, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more Warno.